Hello, this video is to show you how to do the AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio. If you go to aws.amazon.com/Visual Studio, there's an SDK that you can download. Click this button. It'll download a MSI, which is like it's a Microsoft installer, and will install a toolkit for Visual Studio. If I were you, I would have Visual Studio closed. Let me show you what it looks like when it comes open. When you open it, imagine it was installed. You know what? I'm going to run through the install real quick. I already have it installed, but it shouldn't give me a problem. Let's see. It's probably going to sense that I already have it installed and ask me if I want to correct it. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, I'm going to close Visual Studio just so it doesn't get confused here. Alright, click Next. Yeah, it already knows I have installed. Let's say Change. Make sure all this stuff is highlighted. Whatever it decides to download it, please. Click Next. I'm not going to click Change because I didn't actually want to change anything, but there's nothing to change here. You don't have to do anything in this screen. Just click Next until you go through it. Then when you start Visual Studio, takes a second. Okay, under View, under the View button, the View option, when this finally comes up, I have, this is Telric reminding me to update, don't worry about that. When I go to View, AWS Explorer is available. Under AWS Explorer, we're going to be using a couple things, not all the stuff, that's for sure. You can do SNS and SQS, you can queue messages. We're not going to go through that part of it yet. We're going to be using the RDS service, which is the database server, and they support MySQL, SQL Server, and Oracle. We're also going to be using the Elastic Beanstalk. This is where our applications will be deployed. And then this is our security management. I don't want to open it because I don't want to show you all the different user IDs, but that's the security management. When you, let's see, I'm going to open up our project. Now I already had this sort of configured with the Beanstalk and with the RDS. I have all my changes checked in through GitHub. So the most current change is in GitHub. I don't have to do a push or pull. I hope there's nobody did an update since, but there's no push or pull. If I go to View Solution Explorer, I can see the Solution Explorer. I'm not seeing any check boxes saying, or like a red check would tell me that there's maybe a version that I have here that's not checked in. Looks good to me if I'm ready to deploy it. If I right click, I right click there we go. Volunteer, published to AWS. This was installed with the toolkit. And this pretty much walks you through how to publish this app to the Beanstalk. Let's say I'm going to ready deploy Volunteer. Not changed anything here. Click Next. Now I've already deployed this one, so this is like a redeployment. So a Delta redeploy, it senses the differences between deployments and automatically corrects it. Pretty cool stuff. So next, I don't have to associate my RDS with a security group. That's already done. Next. And once I hit deploy, it's going to do a build. Now if I had test cases that were dependent, that would all happen, but I'm going to do a build. I don't have any test cases. And it's going to do an incremental deploy. In other words, sensing the differences between the objects that were created from my published to what is published. And then notice that there's a couple of small changes. We're going to have to modify this volunteer.dll. That's equivalent to a jar file, like the jar file of the app that you deployed. The PDB is the debug file. So it saw that there's differences between that. I'm not surprised. The DLL is something that usually gets pushed every single time. And that quickly, it deployed to the Beanstalk. It's actually ready to be executed on the web. Neat stuff. We're going to go through how to associate your user account with this. Let's see if I can do that real quick. You know what? I want to do that in a separate one. Let me take that back. I'll do that in the next video. How to associate. In other words, once you see these different options, how can I sign in with my ID? Now, I went and created each of you an ID and what they call an access code and a secret access code. Basically, it almost looks like an SSH key to be able to use the Beanstalk and to use the different options. We'll go over that in a later video. That's pretty much how to install the SDK and how to do a quick publish. Thank you very much. Bye.